This video covers spoilers for the early game of Omori, so please be advised. I remember being on Tumblr in 2014, being a young girl just following a whole bunch of artists. I happened to see that one of my favorite artists posted a Kickstarter regarding a video game project. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, and completely lost track of them. That artist was Omocat, the developer and publisher of Omori, which is the result of that initial Kickstarter. 10 years later, I finally got to play it. Omori was developed on RPG Maker and released in 2020. I played this on the Nintendo Switch. The game introduces you to a boy named Omori. You wake up in a place called White Space, and as you explore and exit, you are introduced to another place called the Headspace, which is much more colorful compared to White Space. This is where you meet all of your companions: Aubrey, Kel, Hiro, Basil, and then your older sister, Mari. Aubrey is a hot-headed young girl, Kel is sporty and a bit dense, and Basil is a bit meek, but he is very sweet. He loves photography and flowers. He has a photo book, which is an integral part of the story. Hiro and Mari are the older kids of the group. Hiro is well respected and very well loved, and they look to him for advice a lot of the times. Mari is also well respected, and she provides a lot of comfort to the kids. She literally acts as a save point for the group to heal their wounds. As you move through the introduction and certain events happen, you are transported back to White Space. Once you figure out how to exit White Space, you realize that the beginning portion of the game was part of a dream. This is when you meet Sunny, who looks like an older version of Omori. We soon realize that Sunny is going to be moving with his mom in 3 days, and that he is alone in the house. Sunny is obviously not okay. He is suffering from hallucinations, obviously very troubled, and we as the player can infer that something bad has happened to him. The environment of his house is just very bleak, and he tries to go back to sleep after a rather vivid hallucination, and we are transported back into White Space. We're back to Omori's point of view, and we're introduced to the friends again. But we find out that Basil is missing. The main chunk of the game is that you and your friends are trying to find out where Basil is, but as the player, we end up trying to piece together the story of what happened to Sunny and his friends in the real world, and what is the true purpose of the dream space. The gameplay is heavily inspired by turn-based RPGs, and it has their own weakness system involving emotions. You can apply different emotions to yourself or to enemies to increase or decrease your stats. Omori, Aubrey, Kel, and Hiro all have their own strengths and weaknesses, and preferences based on emotions. Omori's attacks mostly involve around applying sadness, while Aubrey's was either happiness or anger. As a result, the game has its own weakness triangle. Sad is strong against happy, happy is strong against angry, and angry is strong against sad. Each emotion also increases or decreases your stats in a certain way. I had to have a little notepad with the triangle because I could not memorize that triangle for some reason. I wasn't really vibing with the gameplay at first, and I really do love turn-based combat, but this combat felt especially slow to me at first. But once I unlocked more abilities and was able to play around with applying weaknesses more to myself and to the enemies, I was able to have a lot more fun with the system because I could experiment more. Also, it helped that visually, the game is just so fun in battle and outside of it. I haven't followed Omocat's work in a long time, but I remember loving how vibrant their work was and how they used color, despite the serious content they would cover sometimes. Omori has such a unique style for an RPG Maker game. The pixel art is just so clean. The use of bright and rich colors in the headspace really make it stand out compared to White Space or even the more grounded colors of Faraway Town. Exploring the different areas of the headspace to find Basil is really so enjoyable because you get to see the different environmental choices and also the quirky little side characters that were designed. Sometimes exploration is broken up by environmental roadblocks, blocks, which you can clear using different characters' abilities. For example, Omori can cut down certain objects with his knife, while Aubrey can crush the bigger objects with her baseball bat. Besides the pixel art, the game mixes in a sketchy digital art, almost hand-drawn-like look. It's not traditional, it's obviously digital, but the sketchiness adds a very cute touch to the game, especially when you go into battle and you can see the unique designs done for enemies, especially for the boss fights, because the bosses had some really nice art. The character design isn't particularly unique for the main characters especially, but it's sort of the whole entire package that makes the game what it is. The way Omori is visually designed just really appealed to me. I love when games go all out with their color use. It's always so fun to me, and I really like when people try to experiment more with color in their games, especially with games that use pixel art, where you can be more flexible. The cutesy environment and characters really just heighten when you get glimpses of the darkness in this story, and the darkness that just tends to linger in the background. Omori is not only hyped up for its visuals, but also for its story. We see early on that there is a darkness hanging around Omori and Sunny. Omori, despite his bright surroundings and his cheery friends, seems to constantly be lacking emotion. The only emotion we can tell that he truly has is sadness, and that is only because of his abilities in battle. In the real world, Sunny is seemingly trapped in his own head inside this dark house, suffering from these hallucinations. And throughout the game, we get to figure out what happened to Sunny in this childhood that he visualizes within his dreams versus the present day. There are different endings in this game, but I'm not going to talk about them in depth. I only got one of them. But I just want to state that depending on the choices that you make for Sunny, you might not even see the third area far away town. I love a good story that mixes in bright and happy visuals with horror. Some developers are more heavy-handed with it than others, but I feel like Omori does it very well. The game isn't necessarily scary, but it really fills you with a sense of dread and sadness. It is a very compelling story about how loss can affect you and your friends. But it's not just about loss, it's about guilt, about anger, it's about being haunted by your past decisions, and it's about how you can move forward. It's about friendship, and it's about healing and healing together. I really recommend Omori strongly for its visuals and its narrative. They are super strong, and it's very satisfying to put the pieces of the story together. You don't really need to do a lot of guessing within the story. The game clears up everything towards the end, but if you're paying attention, you can get a lot of hints towards the truth of what happened in Sunny's childhood. But please be aware that this game does go over a lot of very heavy subject material. It goes over a lot of the darker sides of mental health decline and the actions that people take during declining mental health, if you get what I'm saying. There are acts of self-harm in this game that act as a game mechanic. It can get pretty dark, and if those types of subjects bother you, I would highly recommend searching up a trigger list before you play this, just so you're aware of what you'd be experiencing. Sunny as a character is suffering from a lot of trauma, and this trauma has also extended towards his friends in different ways, and you get to see how many of the friends have reacted to this type of trauma. But it is a really wonderful experience, and I'm glad I finally got to play it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more, please like and subscribe and do all the YouTube things. I don't really have any other reviews planned yet. I'm in the middle of 2 longer games, so I don't know if I'll be reviewing anything in the near future, but we'll see. You never know. Again, thank you for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.